4 p.m. to 6 p.m. with the sports chef, Noble, for fresh updates in football, basketball, tennis, athletics, and all interesting develop the ever-scintillating world of sports. Once there is an echo, we are there on cue.
Oh my goodness, you cannot write the script for this, Rob. This is unbelievable stuff. Look at the faces around.
All right, good evening to you and welcome to another exciting edition of Echo Sports on Echo FM 100.7 Owerri. My name is Kachi Sports, and of course, you know I don't do it every time. I've always done this with another person but us, Noble the sports chef. Noble, good evening.
Good evening, man. Good evening to all those out there listening to the sound of our voice. It's a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday because Alan Quint, they won.
Yeah,
all right. Certain got but a certain man Emmanuel Kayadren Akachuku Rosino. As something happened earlier this evening.
All right. Well, just like very interesting stories will be coming your way this evening. Our hands are full with the latest from the world of sports. Well, it's a breaking news for Chelsea fans. I think it's going to be some will be happy, others very few will be sad about it. Chelsea have finally relieved Lesnio. That's it. Rosnio, his job is no longer in place at Stamford Bridge. He has finally been relieved of his duty as the coach of Chelsea. Well, that is a breaking news. We're going to be definitely having a lot of things to do with you. All right, join us live on different platforms. Facebook, we are on Echo FM. Of course, we are live on X at Echo FM Owerri. We are also on different other platforms. You need to be part of this particular conversation this evening. Atlanta Queens have a side of Rivers Queen. Rivers Queen beat them in the first leg, but this is the returning leg at Danayam Stadium. Just a few minutes ago, Atlanta Queens were able to get the better side of the girls from Rivers State by 2-1. Very interesting match. Goals in the first half for the home side, and then one was pulled back, and that the game ended that way. Well, I think we're going to start from that one precisely. Let's start from the Heartland Queens game. I think if you look at the game today, they improved. They were very, very okay in the first half. Got 2 goals, but then in the second half, looks like they came from the dugout to just defend the 2-1 lead. They weren't that enterprising in the first half, but despite all this, Heartland Queens have picked the maximum 3 points required of them. I don't know what to make out of this one.
Well, for Heartland Queens, it's a massive morale booster, and looking at the fact that a lot was at stake for them because yes, they are no longer competing for Super 6, but they were competing for the pride, for the badge. Because the first leg ended, that game ended about 5-1, and it wasn't what Coach Obi would actually want from the girls in this game. And then going into the post-match conference, he actually said that the governor of Imo State called him and told him, win the remainder of your match, the remaining matches, win it. And he said that he has done just that. But going through to what we saw at Dananyam Stadium, it was more of make use of your chances when it comes down to you. They were able to score quite early, got the second goal, though a defensive collapse once again marred that particular encounter for Heartland Queens. It has become a recurrent issue for Heartland Queens, goalkeeper error. I believe in the past 5 games for Heartland Queens, 3 out of the 5 games, 3 games, we've seen the goalkeeper actually causing a goal, an error from the goalkeeper causing to a goal. And this is something that Coach Obi actually was asked about it. He said that we are going to work on it. And the season has come through. Even for the coach of Rivers Angels, he didn't grant the journalists an opportunity. A post-conference interview from the journalist was not gotten. They called him. I don't know if in the verse in loose, But ultimately, we can give kudos to Heartland Queens for an energetic performance. 2 goals in the first half. They missed the penalty. It's the penalty in that encounter.
That should have been 3 goals.
It would have been 3-1. And the second half, it was more of a resilient fight from Heartland Queens. And kudos to the lads. Kudos to Olebube. Kudos to the girls as they put out a spirited fight to ensure that they get their season. Yes, they are not fighting for top 4, but the gap at the top. And the gap of the top 3, it's actually something to work going into next season, going into other games. They need to work on it and ensure that they put in more effort to get through to next season.
All right, to get through to next season, just like I always said this, very interesting. The coach of Rivers Angels were unable to talk to us, but let's get to hear something from this man who represents the Queens.
It's not the finals. Early we lost, we started preparing. And no 2 games are the same. We know we need this match. His Excellency, Senator Obuzodima, asked me to win my matches, the remaining matches. And I'm pleased to do what he says. So we really work for it, and the result is there for us to see.
All right, let's move over to Imo FA. Let's begin with what happened earlier today. Oisa FC were able to beat Kun Kalifat 3-1 in the quarterfinal of the Imo State ongoing President Federation Cup Imo State in the quarterfinal, and they are through to the semi-final. Talking about Oisa, where they will face Opetemba on Friday. Let's take that on, and then the news emanating from Oisa also Stadium in Ngokbala says Heartland FC, who were in action this evening also, their match has been suspended due to poor visibility. The news coming says Heartland played 1-1 in full time against Campus FC, and then they entered into a penalty shootout where they played 2-2 and had to suspend the game due to poor visibility, and they said the match will continue tomorrow morning. I don't know what to make out of this one.
Well, for me, this is where they need to put in proper planning. Yes, it might go out to mean, based off on the fact that we have no floodlights in most stadia across Imo State and also across Nigeria. So this is where you see a couple of games going into the night, and ultimately, because there's no free play for darkness, they will tell you poor visibility has required us to postpone this game. We would have to return going into the next day. So by tomorrow, they started the penalty shootout already. So in Jageba, the last game for Heartland Queens against Ibom Angels, it was because of heavy downpour. Right there at Akwa Ibom. Because of heavy downpour, they had to postpone the game, they had to stop the game, and it was rescheduled to start up the next morning. That is understandable. But now, coming into a light situation, you start off the game earlier. This is a situation, this is more of a knockout encounter. You start off the game probably by 3. Going into 4, 5, 6, it's already over. Even if they are going to play penalty, it's going to get down to that particular moment where everything will be done before 6 p.m. But ultimately, we go down to see a lot of drama that comes through with the local league, and then going into the FA Cup, where we need to find someone who is strong enough to go and compete in the President's FA Cup. And ultimately, it seems like the way things are going through, a couple of people are saying that Kun Khalifa, it was because of fatigue. That is why you actually saw them being knocked out. NPFL champions, a club that isn't even, a club that is not even in the second division. Awage 3-1. Wapoge. So it's something that they need to look into. Kun Khalifa fighting for survival. Yes, a couple of their first team players did not actually play that game, but you should have the squad depth. That is where you see teams, they have the first 11, second 11, going to third 11. At least it should have quality. When you come through to 3-1, losing, and then you've crashed out of the FA Cup, and then we're coming down to the fact that Heartland also had to struggle to get into the penalty situation. Yes, the underdog would actually want to make a name for themselves, but at the same time, you have to show quality, show that you have what it takes. We've played the NPFL, we are gunning for a return to the NPFL. So, okay, now, we're Kopo. And also, what's on the line is anyone who actually goes on to win the President's FA Cup gets a slot, gets a ticket for the CAF Confederations Cup. That's what's on the line. So it starts up from the local scene, starts up from the state FA before you go down to the National FA Cup games.